you guys? After Reacts here, and today I'm going to be reviewing a film. This is for the 2023 film The Flash. It just came out here in Australia and I went to see it. I saw it in a drive-in cinema, and a lot of people questioned why I did that, but I mean, I went to see Spider-Man Far From Home, No Way Home, in gold class at the premiere time, and there was girls behind me that were just screaming and yelling every 5 seconds, and it was really annoying. So it was really refreshing to see a big film like this and not have to deal with screaming fans behind me and everything. So that's why I saw it in the drive-in cinema, and you know what? It was great. I got a great experience out of it. Okay, so throughout the film, I spent the whole time writing down notes, and I wrote them in my little book here. I've got many notes and terrible handwriting, so this is going to be interesting. I'm going to have to try and decipher it for you guys. First of all, before going to any spoilers, I would say this is a very enjoyable film. I know that there are a lot of people out there that don't want to see the film because they're boycotting it due to Ezra Miller's actions, and I mean, I understand, but from what I could see from a lot of the reviews online, it seems like a lot of people are reviewing the film without even, they're reviewing it poorly without ever even seeing the film, which is ridiculous because I genuinely believe that this is a good film and I really enjoyed it. I think that you should see it if you are a fan of The Flash or a fan of DC Comics as a whole. If you're a fan of any of the DC properties, I think that you'll really enjoy this. So yeah, I can't really go into any more details without just going through my notes, so that means spoilers coming up. So if you haven't seen the film, come back after you've seen the film and then we'll continue this. Anyways, so going forward will be spoilers. So, right. I'm not very good at writing notes, especially at nighttime in my car, but I'm going to try and decipher them with you right here. So, at the beginning of the film, we have a sequence where Barry is at a shop. He's trying to get a sandwich that he normally gets. He's always late for work. Then he gets a call from Alfred, because apparently Batman and no one else in the Justice League are available to stop this, I don't know, I think it was an earthquake or something. I'm not entirely sure what exactly happened, but anyways, Batman was off doing something else and Wonder Woman wasn't answering, and Superman was briefly shown in a TV footage thing. So I guess in a way Superman was shown in the film. I don't know. Poor Henry Cavill though. He's he really got the short stick here. Anyways, so yeah, he's trying to get this sandwich from a pretty girl that he likes at the sandwich shop, but she's not there, and then this guy is just taking his time, and it was really annoying. And you really felt impatient with Barry as he was I need to get this right now. So he runs off, and he cause he needs food to fuel his power, which they don't really go back to later on in the film, which is interesting. They make it out if he doesn't have any food at all, he just can't run at all. Which I know that I know in the comics and in the TV show and everything, he does have a higher metabolism and he needs to eat a lot more food and everything, but I think maybe they kind of overused it at the beginning of this film because they don't really pay much attention to it later on. But anyways, he I believe there was a TV spot where a bunch of girls start screaming when they see the Flash, and that's the beginning of the film. And they throw a chocolate bar at him because he asked for it because he was really hungry, he didn't get his sandwich. And it like just drops to the floor because he wasn't ready for it. But I found it really weird that like when he ran, he didn't pick up the. I really thought he would have picked it up as he ran off, but that didn't happen. I think that the running CGI still looks a little bit janky. I think that's mainly my biggest issue with the film is the CGI, because occasionally it's very noticeable that it's not that it's a VFX and really takes you out of the film a little bit, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think that when he made it to the like site of, I'm just gonna say that it's an earthquake because I don't actually remember what it was. He spends too much time talking, I think. Like he's like talking to Alfred and like people are like falling and stuff. I think that he took too much time rambling on there, which I think he should have been spending more time trying to save people. Batfleck scene, like it cuts over to Batfleck as he's like, I don't know, taking down some Falcone, I don't know. It was a good sequence, regardless. The babies, so like at the top, I think it's a hospital, and like at the top of the hospital, like a bunch of babies fall out of the window along with a nurse. And those babies immediately I'm like, well, they're dead. But yeah, no, they looked very weird. I think he went into like flash time to try and save them. But it was unclear. It was always unclear whether or not it was flash time or not, but regardless, he was running really fast, but everything was very slow. The babies looked really weird. I'm not gonna lie. They looked very, like, this is a portion of the film that I think that this the CG didn't look great. I also think that this sequence went on just a little bit too long. I mean, obviously it's going to remind people of the Quicksilver scenes in the X-Men franchise, but I think that with those there was a lot more creativity with them. I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of creativity with him just catching all of these babies in different ways. I think he stops an explosion or something with a burrito, which he eats, and then he's like eating the snacks and stuff out of the machine as that's falling. I just think that there was too much emphasis on him having to eat, and he puts a baby in a microwave, which was interesting. And then like he manages to save them all, and my nose is really itchy, I'm sorry. He manages to save them all and like drop them on the ground, kind of, and the woman's like, the nurse is screaming, and there's like a line about how they need to, they should seek some mental therapy, which is, it was a good sequence, I think, because that is important. And he's like, the Justice League aren't very good at that right now, and I thought that's kind of funny. There's a lot of funny moments in this film, actually, I'm not gonna lie. The Batfleck suit looked great. And then Wonder Woman showed up and helped. I was not prepared to see her at all, so it was really nice to see Gal Gadot be able to be Wonder Woman again. Although there was a really weird, awkward rope joke again. I don't really understand why. Because like the joke with the rope with her Lasso of Truth, they had like that joke in the Justice League film, and then like when the Snyder Cut came out, that joke wasn't in the film, and everyone thought it was a like Joss Whedon joke, which is why it wasn't very funny. And the fact that they like brought that back for this film was a bit odd. I understand that, you know, it's a lasso of truth, but I don't think that's how the lasso of truth should work, where they just keep rambling about stuff. Like, Batman was almost admitting his identity, and then like Barry was talking about how he's never experienced sex before, which I find is a bit of a, they were trying to go for a joke there that I don't think really landed for me. Yeah, wasn't a fan of that whole sequence, I think. But it was nice to see Wonder Woman again. The I was really confused whether or not Barry was actually working in a precinct, but it seems like he is a CSI. But yeah, I wrote here, precinct looks weird. It was a very different looking precinct, I think. I guess I'm used to a particular style, I suppose. Iris recognizes Barry from the Snyder Cut. So she says that she saw him a couple of years ago, which made me think, well, I mean, that scene was only in the Snyder Cut, so does this mean that the Snyder Cut is the, like, de facto version of the film, like, the timeline? However, it seems to not be the case, because when he time travels for the first time, like, he technically time traveled already in the Snyder Cut, so I don't know. Maybe this is something that happened off screen or something. I'm not sure. They recast Barry's dad, which is kind of upsetting, because I think that when we saw the experience, like the scene with Barry and his dad in prison, I think it must have been in the Justice League, that I thought that was a good scene between the two of them, and I guess technically this dad looks a little bit more like Barry, but I didn't feel the emotional connection between the two. Good kid casting though. He really looked like Ezra. Yes, that's what I wrote. The death seems to happen during the day, and there's no signs of the Reverse Flash. Yeah, so this is something that I had an issue with, but yeah, I was a little bit disappointed in the fact that there was no signs that the Reverse Flash was there. And it just seemed like a random robbery of a house, I guess. I don't know. At least that's what they said. I mean, it leaves room for potentially that, but yeah, I was just a little bit taken aback by that, I think. Alright, so he accesses the Speed Force, and it looks kind of blue and weird looking, but then it ends up being, like, kind of yellowy, which, I mean, whatever. I think this is, like, the first time that he actually time traveled as well. It was really weird. I wonder what Easter eggs were there. I'm not sure, like, I didn't get to really see a lot of it. It seemed to, like, be more of everything that recently happened in the film, so I don't know if there's anything else there that was maybe Easter eggy. Maybe you guys saw something there that I didn't. I'm not sure. So yeah, the way that he, like, kind of time travels, his head floats out first, like, and then his body, which I thought was an interesting decision. It definitely looked odd, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, and then Batfleck talking about, you know, time and how he wouldn't make the same choice. I thought that was a pretty good speech. I don't actually remember what he said, but I liked it. I thought it was very quite funny that when he had Iris come over to his house or apartment, he stole a beer from a neighbor by vibrating through the wall. And then when he opened up the beers, like, it kind of exploded because, you know, it would have been shook a lot. I thought that was quite funny. It's here that he's talking to, like, Iris about pretty much, he gets the idea of what he needs to do to fix the past without interacting with anyone. So yeah, he goes back to the past and puts tomatoes in his mother's trolley, because that is what caused his dad not to be there when the robbery occurred at the house. So yeah, that's our key moment of where things change. Barry is very cute when he sees his mum for the first time again as an adult. I thought that was very sweet. Barry 2.0 shows up, and he's very childish, which makes sense because he hasn't had the same kind of experiences as Barry 1.0. Barry 1.0 being annoyed at 2.0 is cute and funny. Barry 1.0 not understanding time travel and seeing vibrating and phasing was cool. Like the fact that they kind of showed the molecules, I thought that was interesting. Definitely some creative things in the film. So this next sequence is Barry 1.0 making sure that Barry 2.0 gets his powers, because he's worried that if he doesn't have his powers, then he will never be able to return back to his time. So when he kind of tries to recreate the thing that happened to him, he ends up getting hit and struck, and the lightning goes through him and into Barry 2.0, which is an interesting way. It's kind of like his powers are getting transferred. Kind of reminded me of a Superman episode, Smallville episode from, if you know, you know. But yeah, and a tooth fell out and fell into his mouth, which was really weird choice. And then, Barry 1.0 tries to run around, and he realizes his powers are gone. It was the most dorkiest run ever, and I think they purposefully did that because a lot of people feel that Ezra Miller's running is very dorky. I mean, it definitely fit the scene. 2.0 is getting a little annoying at this point. He ran into and he made a huge crash and a commotion and everything, and because he ran into the streets, and his clothes end up burning off, which I thought was an interesting and nice touch. And they explain the science around the suit and how his powers work, and how he needs specific type of fabric because of the friction. I thought that all worked really nice. Although it was at this point as well that I liked the fact that we were kind of getting an origin story without actually getting an origin story as well. Because this, we can imagine, and he even says it himself, that that he was excited, he's been through this, that he's experienced having his power, getting his powers. So you can imagine this was Barry 1.0's experience, although it was probably a little bit different because of his experiences with his mum being dead and everything. Also, just a side note, when I say he, I am referring to the character. I am aware that Ezra Miller identifies as non-binary, as they. But yes, I just wanted to clarify that. I thought it was a nice touch that they included the fact that Barry was actually there when the Man of Steel events happened, and that he tried to save a little boy and a dad, but he could only save the son because he was brand new to his powers. I thought that was very nice, because it means that at least 3 out of 5 or 6 of the Justice League members at the time were at that experience, were at that event, because as we found out, Bruce was also there trying to save people. So we go back to Barry 2.0's apartment, and he's got some he's got roommates, which I thought was really weird. We never see these roommates again. There was also, earlier on in the film, Barry had some work friends that had a couple voice lines, and that felt really random. They didn't really need to be part of the film, but whatever. But yeah, apparently one of them was Patty. I'm wondering if that's Patty Spivot, and then the other one was Albert, and I'm wondering if that was Julian Albert. So that's the extent of my notes on them. And then there was one other person there, but I didn't get the name, and they really didn't add anything other than mentioning that Batman was probably real. Yeah, that was, I don't really understand what their purpose was. There was a Back to the Future joke, and a bunch of movies has been changed around, which was interesting, and it made me think about, what it would be like having different actors in those roles at that time. Apparently, Michael J. Fox was in Footloose. That's a movie I actually haven't seen, but I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that are now imagining what that would be like. I thought it was cool seeing Barry 1.0, trying to Google and work out where the rest of the Justice League are. And it was nice that they got Arthur Curry's dad back. the guy that plays Boba Fett. And it was interesting that, like, Arthur doesn't exist, but Arthur is a dog. So no Aquaman in this universe. I liked that. It was a very small scene, and I liked it. I liked that this film brought in a lot of characters and stuff from other movies, if only for just one scene. It really made the film feel like it was part of a larger universe and not just really self-contained. So Barry goes to the Wayne Manor, and it seems like it's got cobwebs everywhere, looks abandoned, and basically Michael Keaton looks like he's really let himself go with the beard and the hair and everything. Like, as it turns out, like, there's like a little fight scene here, which it was interesting, like, watching Barry 2.0 kind of do different things to just kind of get out of the way, and I liked it regardless. And apparently in this universe, Gotham is actually safe. So Michael Keaton Batman has actually retired, because Gotham is safe. It was nice to see the old Batmobile, because they go into the Batcave, which was cool. And there was like a Barry 2.0 kept getting really excited about finding all these little things, like a little bag that laughed. I'm guessing that's a Joker thing. And then there was a moment there where Barry 1.0 got triggered by his mother, and I thought it was a really good scene, how he was talking about he has no idea what he's taking for granted. So I thought that worked out really nice. I really liked that scene. And then we see the old Batsuit as Michael Keaton Batman decides to help. And, you know, he says the nostalgia line, "I'm Batman." I mean, I knew it was in the trailers and everything, but it's still, like, nostalgic to hear. I wrote, "Batman got good. Watching him fly around like a bat was awesome." And then there's also a moment where he uses a tape measure. It's just kind of hilarious that he grabs, like, a couple of things of his utility belt, like a little bomb or something. He grabs, like, a little tape measure and does, like, some quick math on the fly. I thought that was pretty good. They managed to save Supergirl instead of Superman, because obviously this is a different timeline. I liked that she was malnourished. This whole sequence, I've seen the Flashpoint film, the animated film, and so seeing a lot of these things kind of realized in such a way made me really giddy and really excited, because this basically happened in the Flashpoint film. You know, they find Clark and he was malnourished because they kept him away and, like, away from sunlight, and instead of it being Clark, it's Kara, and I liked it. She was badass, and she took out a bunch of the guards and stuff, and I was thinking, well, I mean, she definitely killed some people here, but at the same time, these people have been keeping her captive. But also, I'm okay with it. I'm not okay with Superman killing people because of the way that he was raised, but she wasn't raised by Martha and Jonathan Kent. And this is a different universe, and I think it works. Bruce offering to help Barry 1.0 get his powers was nice. The machine looks just like Flashpoint, and then I wrote, "Oh my god, it's just like the movie." Supergirl takes him up, because in the animated film, Superman takes him up to the sky and gets struck by lightning, and he gets his powers back, and it's so cool. And then there was, like, a little moment when she brings him back down where Barry 2.0 attaches Barry 1.0, and a little bit of a spark came through them, and it just reminded me of the Flash TV show, where, like, Iris touched Barry for a moment, and it was a spark of lightning, and it woke him up, and anyways. That whole section got me really giddy. And I really liked that Barry 2.0 created a suit from Batman's suit. There wasn't, like, I was expecting Batman to be a little bit annoyed about that, but there was nothing about that, so, oh well. I just found it hilarious that he was, like, sawing off the ears and, like, spray paints a little Flash symbol, but, like, you could clearly see that there was still a Batman symbol there, which I thought was quite funny. I wrote, what the fuck, the Flash cow looks a little dumb, when, you know, they're in the Batwing, he, like, turned his head and it looked so disfigured and weird. Clearly a joke, but it was funny, regardless. Also, there's a moment where Barry so, like, this is, like, the whole big fight sequence with Zod now, and Barry I wrote, did he just reverse Flash hand phase a Kryptonian? I was unclear whether or not there was a bunch of Kryptonians, or if it was just a few Kryptonians and a bunch of robots, because I have a little bit of issue with the fact of him doing the reverse Flash thing through somebody. Regardless if it's a Kryptonian or not. I don't know. That just kind of... I was like, yikes. I don't like how bland the scenery of the fight is in the desert, but it makes sense because there's less casualties. I mean, obviously, a big point of interest about Man of Steel was how many casualties there were, because it was a fight that occurred in Metropolis, and, like, all of those buildings were being destroyed because of a fight and everything. So, I mean, having it out in the desert makes sense, but aesthetically, it wasn't really pleasing to watch because it was just in the desert and it was kind of boring looking. Although there were some interesting things to note about this fight here. Barry 2.0 is doing wrestling moves. That's like he was talking about how he likes wrestling films or something or other earlier in the film, so that I liked that. Zod actually gets the Codex, because Supergirl gets stabbed and, I guess, killed. I wondered whether or not that would actually work, but I guess it's like Kryptonian technology stabbing, so I don't know. There was nothing kryptonite about it, though. If you don't think about it much, then it probably makes more sense. Keaton sacrifices himself. 2.0 wants to go back and save them, so they do that. I liked the rotating Batwing. There was a point where one of the Kryptonian robot people, I don't know, jumps onto the Batwing, and Keaton's just going around in circles in the Batwing because it's not moving, but the circle around, I just really liked it. It was really interesting. And I half expected the robot thing or whatever to vomit, but no, that didn't happen. Maybe it is a robot. Supergirl leaves Flash 2.0 hanging for a high five, which I thought was quite funny. So Barry 2.0 was running around in a circle creating a funnel, which reminded me of the Flash pilot. And Supergirl, like, goes through and punches Zod in the face, and Barry's going like this as he's running, and she just leaves him hanging. That was so funny. Laughed way too long. They fail again. Supergirl dies and Batman dies again. It seems like this is becoming inevitable, like it's a fixed point. He tries again, and he gets hit by, like, these spikes and stuff from, like, Kryptonian technology, and he's becoming more and more spiky, and it was, like, at this point, like, I already knew that, because the trailers spoiled it, that, like, Barry 2.0 would be kind of a bit of a villain here, but that wasn't even really the case. So the more he went back in time, the more spiky stuff came onto him, and then Barry 1.0 says something that his mum said to him at the beginning of the film, which was, not every problem has a solution, sometimes you just have to let it go. And it echoes back to that moment, and I thought it was a very nice message to the film. Barry 2.0 realizes that he's becoming a bit of an abomination as that, like, creature thing comes out. I didn't mention this in the beginning, but like when he gets thrown out of the timeline and meets Barry 2.0, like he's thrown out by this figure that's like got punctures and I don't know, it looked like an abomination. Anyways, yeah, he realizes that that's him, that this is what going back in time constantly is turning himself into, and it seems like he created himself. And then we see a bunch of cameos, which I got very excited about. I wrote down as many as I could, but I got so excited I started hitting the person that I was watching the film with. I was like, that's this, that's that! I was so excited. I threw hands. So the first one that we saw and then I recognized was George Reeves, who was the first live-action Superman in a TV show. It was great. I think I saw Jay Garrick, but I don't know which Jay Garrick it was. I was a little disappointed that we didn't see Grant Gustin. I know that Andy Muschietti put out a statement like a couple months back saying that there was no room for Grant Gustin, and I absolutely, totally, 100% disagree with you. You totally could have fit him in here. I'm sorry, but one of these is in here, and I'm like, why are you here? You could have been Grant Gustin, I'm just saying. But anyways, this movie would have been a 10 out of 10 if they had Grant in it, I'm just saying. Anyways, I then saw Christopher Reeves and Helen Slater as Superman and Supergirl. They were actually together on screen, which was kind of cool. I mean, technically, they weren't because Christopher Reeves is no longer with us, but like they kind of recreated them digitally, and they were seen kind of on screen together, which was interesting because they never got to be on screen together. I think this section as well was a bit janky on the CGI as well, because obviously these two, Christopher Reeves isn't with us anymore, and it was very noticeable that it was CG generated. We then saw Adam West. And then I don't know if you really saw him as much as you heard him. I definitely heard him. And then this was the most random one ever. I can't believe that they did this. They had Nicolas Cage as Superman. And I'm aware that they were going to have a Nicolas Cage Superman film in the 90s called Superman Lives. And he was fitted for a suit and everything. And the fact that they, incorporated this into the film is the most random thing ever. And I swear it was done for a meme. And I'm very upset that they've done this and they didn't bring in Grant Gustin. I'm just saying, Ezra Miller showed up on The Flash. Why can't Grant Gustin show up here? It's rude. That's my biggest issue with the film. Not the CGI. Anyways, I know that there was some more that I probably missed because I was writing them down and I was getting really excited about the ones that I saw. So please tell me if you saw any that I missed, because I would like to know. And yes, anyways. 2.0 sacrifices himself and it gets rid of what technically is a time remnant. Look at me with my Flash knowledge. Barry goes back again to take the tomatoes from his trolley. I thought that it was kind of sad. I realized here that we didn't really get to see Barry and his mum all that much in the film, and that was kind of a little bit disappointing because I feel like I probably would have felt a little bit more if I was more connected to the character. But, I mean, where would you have been able to fit that in more? So, I don't really know. It was a lovely hug scene. He started, crying, and, she's like, I know I'm just a random person, but would you like a hug? And I thought that was very sweet. I thought that it was very refreshing to have a movie conclude with an emotional scene instead of just a big battle, boss battle. Barry does end up changing the future, but it's not it's not really it's not the biggest change ever, because At the beginning of the film, they were talking about how they got, they enhanced some footage of some cameras at the shops, the shops of the supermarket that the dad was at, right? But he never looked up because the tomatoes were here on the shelves. So instead, Barry moved all of the cans to the top shelf, so he would have to look up and he would get seen by the cameras, which were enhanced only 20 years from now, or however many years it takes place. So technically that bit of evidence never sees the light of day until Barry's present time anyways. So it worked out and I kind of liked it. He changed the future without changing a fixed point. Which you can't do. He walks out of the courtroom and he gets a phone call from Bruce, which immediately I thought didn't sound like Batfleck at all. I was like, going into this film the whole time, for some reason I really thought Christian Bale was in it, was going to make an appearance at some point. I don't know where I got this information, but I was like, oh, okay, this is the moment. Christian Bale's gonna come out of this car. No, bitch. Do you know who comes out of the car? Well, I mean, you probably do, because if you're at this point of the video, you've seen the film. George Clooney comes out of the car. What the hell? I legit threw hands. I was like, what? Why? Like, seriously, George Clooney. This means that canonically, this timeline has bat nipples. Canonically. Oh, I don't even know what to say about that. What does that mean for Batman going forward, though? Because we know that we're getting a, like, Batman film, kind of, with Damian, which I don't really understand. There's better Robins, but whatever. I found that section to be the most memeable moment ever. I'm like, you are kidding me. George Clooney. I was not expecting that. I really was not expecting that. So yeah, I really liked that Zod was never the big bad. He was Barry's struggle to let go. Like, it was actually Barry's struggle to let go of the past that was actually the big bad of the film. Barry learns that there are fixed points in time, and then there is the after credits scene with Jason Momoa, where he's just very drunk and falls in a puddle and basically falls asleep, almost, and he gives him some Atlantean treasure to get him some more alcohol. So yeah, this is like he's talking about how there's a different timeline version of him, and I think this was really just included because we have Aquaman 2 coming up still, so we need to kind of let the audience know that it's still part of that universe, I suppose. So I just wanted to include one more thing about the Flash film. I wonder if a lot of the reviews reflect negatively, not just because of the controversies behind the film, but also the fact that the film itself is kind of dark. I mean, Barry kind of concludes that this world that he's in, that he's created, needs to die. He needs to let it die, which is kind of counterproductive to what a superhero is supposed to be. Like, a superhero will always find a way to save something, save a world or whatever. So I thought it was quite dark when he just kind of like realized that he can't save these people. And I wonder if that is also an issue that people have with the film. The fact that it's not the typical superhero saves everything. Yeah, just food for thought. So that was The Flash 2023. I really enjoyed the film. I'm a big Flash fan. I really like the character, and I like my favorite Flash content is the Flashpoint animated film. I fucking love that film, and the fact that they were able to recreate so much of that in this film without like shitting on it. I love it. Obviously, there are parts of the Flashpoint story that were not used here, but I like what they included regardless, and I would highly recommend going to see the film. If you are on the fence about it, I would say it's worth seeing. That's my review of The Flash 2023. Let me know what you guys thought. Please don't spoil other people, like, you know, people might not have seen the film, so don't tell them all the cameos and stuff, because they won't have a great experience otherwise. But yes, anyways, let me know what you guys thought in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. And for those of you who are not regulars here, I actually do react to the Flash TV show and all of the Arrowverse, which you can find on the channel as well. So I'll see you in the next one.